It is wild when looking at the career of Aaron Rodgers and the striking difference with how it started versus how it's ending. Aaron Rodgers and his 18-year run in Green Bay was special. Four-time MVP and a Super Bowl championship to his name. One of the best quarterbacks of his era and of all time. Arguably the most talented quarterback all time, if not certainly one of, right there with Dan Marino. When his time came to be a full-time starter, he had giant shoes to fill, no doubt. The shoes being a Brett Favre. And not only did Aaron Rodgers fill those shoes, I would make the argument, I don't know what the current discourse is in Packer Nation as far as Rodgers versus Brett Favre. I would argue all day long that Aaron Rodgers was far and away the better quarterback compared to Brett Favre. The precision throws, dime passes, whether in the pocket or outside the pocket, off his back foot. The man was a human jug machine. And of course, his time with Green Bay was not without disappointments. Outside of the 2010 season, when the Packers won the championship, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Rodgers-era Packers went to the NFC Championship game 4 times, losing all 4, 2 of those losses within 1 score. The question that will always be attached to Rodgers in Green Bay is, did they actually leave a couple of Lombardi trophies on the table? The biggest what if being the NFC Championship game in 2020 versus Tampa. In the fourth quarter, just over 2 minutes left, down 8 points, 4th and goal at Tampa's 8-yard line, Matt LaFleur, instead of going for it, elected to kick the field goal, cut Tampa's lead down to 5, but unfortunately for Green Bay, they never got the ball back. That following offseason, right before the draft, Adam Schefter reported that Aaron Rodgers did not want to return to Green Bay, that he was unhappy with the Packers, in part because they did not inform him that they were planning to draft Jordan Love the year before. The start of mandatory minicamp comes around. Rodgers is a no-show, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is when we start to see the beginning of Aaron the Distraction Rodgers. Does a couple of golfing events, asked if he's returning to the Packers. We'll see. And then on July 24th, that same offseason, both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams post a picture on Instagram of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on the cusp of a fist bump referencing the Last Dance documentary. Same IG story posted 13 minutes apart. That is crazy. I'm only guessing that Rodgers and Davante Adams were FaceTiming each other right before. You ready to do this? All right, let's do this. This is going to be so sick, but we got to post it at the exact same time. All right, how about this? Let's hang up, and right after we hang up, we post it immediately, and then after you post it, call me right back. 2021 playoffs, they go one and done. Aaron Distraction Rodgers is not done yet, though. After losing to the 49ers in the playoffs, asked if he'll return next year. He responds that it will be a tough decision. And then in March, he informs Pat McAfee that I have made the decision to return. Like, what is he, Jesus? Why do you have to be so dramatic with everything that you do? 2022 season, Packers missed the playoffs. And to gain clarity on what it is that he wants to do for 2023, whether that's play in Green Bay for another year or request a trade and play elsewhere, Aaron Rodgers decides that he must go on a darkness retreat, that he must spend time alone in isolation in the darkness for 4 days and 4 nights in an Oregon facility. And then once he emerges from the darkness, he will decide what to do in 2023, which by all means, you do you. Your process is your process, but some things you don't need to make public. That, to me, in my humble opinion, is just TMI. And after he emerges from the darkness, he decides that I need more time to think. A couple of weeks later, he goes on Pat McAfee revealing he wants to play for the Jets, gets traded to the Jets. And in 2023, week 1, Monday Night Football, we all saw what happened. Runs out with the flag. Aaron Rodgers' first year with the Jets ends after just 4 snaps. Awful. Awful for him, awful for Jets fans, just awful for everyone. Forced to rehab, missing the entire year. But that following offseason for team activities, he's healthy now. Aaron Rodgers is so back, which at the same time, Aaron Distraction Rodgers is also back, skipping mandatory minicamp, calling it glorified OTAs. 2024 plays the entire year, only for the Jets to continue being the Jets. Rodgers himself, he was okay, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, but not good enough to be a difference maker. He was just there, which is quite the disappointment compared to what I'm sure the Jets were thinking they were signing up for. They even brought in your Packers buddies, Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard. They signed Allen Lazard, who at best is a wide receiver 3 or 4, to a 4-year, $44 million deal. They even traded for Devontae Adams. 2024, the Jets go 5-12. Head coach Robert Saleh fired after the first 5 games. GM Joe Douglas fired after 11 games. The Jets brought in Aaron Rodgers thinking that he could potentially save the franchise, even if it's just for 2, maybe 3 years. But unfortunately, it all amounted to nothing. The Aaron Rodgers era Jets is an era that I'm sure Jets fans would like to quickly forget that the Jets themselves are helping to accelerate. After they have informed Aaron Rodgers that they're moving on, they're going to cut him, likely a post-June 1st release. And according to the New York Post, Rodgers had pleaded with the Jets to keep him, which is quite the contrast of the cool, calm, collected, too cool for school persona that he's always been on camera. Bottom line is, Aaron Rodgers is just too much of a distraction, obviously. And you can be a distraction if you are also a super elite player, which at this point in his career, he is not. That goes without saying. He brings far more drama than he brings in quarterback production. For the Jets, it's just not worth it. With their new regime, GM Darren Mogi, and new head coach Aaron Glenn, they said with this action that they want no parts of this circus that is Aaron Rodgers, that we would rather eat $49 million in dead cap over the next 2 years than deal with this guy any further. If he does wish to continue playing in 2025, there are 6 quarterback needy teams in this offseason. Take away 2 of them, the Browns and the Titans, they're going to select quarterbacks at picks 1 and 2. So that leaves, and take away the Jets, obviously, that leaves 3 openings. The Giants, the Raiders, and Pittsburgh. Now consider the competition that he's going to be facing for those 3 openings. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, and Kirk Cousins. 5 guys, all drama-free. They just show up and play football. Not all up in the videos like Rodgers is with Pat McAfee. That's 5 competitors, or rather, assuming one of them ends up signing with the Jets, that's 4 competitors, plus you, Aaron Rodgers, fighting for those 3 jobs. And those 4 competitors bring no distraction whatsoever. Some may try to argue that Russell Wilson is a distraction. He's not a distraction. He's just corny. So ultimately, Rodgers might be forced to retire. Not enough jobs out there. Very few teams, if any, are willing to take on the baggage that comes with Aaron Rodgers, which is really a shame because when I hear the name Aaron Rodgers, I want to just think of him as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, prolific passer, superior ball placement. Instead, when I hear the name Aaron Rodgers, I first think of all the drama that he created with the 2 teams that he played for. And then if I can manage to have enough bandwidth left to get through all that first, maybe, just maybe I can get to the part of, oh yeah, he was a pretty good player too. That's really unfortunate. And I know that we love a good storyline when it comes to sports, and it's really crazy just how much Aaron Rodgers has reenacted Brett Favre's storyline up to this point. Become a hero in Green Bay, cause drama towards the end of your Packers career, get traded to the Jets, disappoint with the Jets, get released by the Jets, which must mean that in order to complete the Brett Favre storyline, that Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Minnesota Vikings. And being a Vikings fan myself, if that were to happen, then I would just have to take the year off. There's no way I could root for Minnesota. I'd take up a new hobby, maybe underwater basket weaving, but the storyline ends with the Jets. Vikings, they have JJ McCarthy. He'll be ready to go next season. I think he's going to be forced to retire Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see a team in a league that despises any level of distractions in these locker rooms, on the football field. Hey, We don't care who you're dating or what activities you participate in outside of football. Whatever you do outside of football, that's your business as long as it doesn't involve us having to answer questions from the media or force us to deviate from football because you want to be a drama queen. Within these confines, it's just football. So while Aaron Rodgers reportedly pleaded with the Jets to keep him along for another year or two, it was too little too late. He may have talked himself out of any more opportunities in this league. I think Aaron Rodgers is done.